Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is going to be a pick a card tarot reading for those of you who have a complicated relationship with your parents. Before we get into it, I just want to let you know that I offer private tarot readings along with these free pick a card readings on YouTube and sometimes on TikTok and sometimes on Twitch. And I am also opening up slots for new clients for one-on-one coaching for many different people, to be honest, for people who have difficult relationships with their parents. And then as an effect, you also have a complicated relationship with yourself and your mind, and you have a complicated relationship with your emotions. You don't know how to cope with them. I can also help you if you are trying to find your purpose and things like that. Those are things that I can help you with on one-on-one coaching, but also on tarot readings. If you are interested, you can email me at tikaishuman@gmail.com, or you can register to book a call with me so that we know what the vibes is. We know if I can help you or not. So, what this pick a card is all about is that there are two parts. Part one, we are going to look at you, your parents, and then your relationship. And my intention is that if you resonate with that first part of the reading, then you know that that is absolutely the reading for you. And then the second part is the guidance part, the advice part. I'm going to be pulling cards from the Ask Your Guides Oracle deck, but also some tarot for what you can change and what you cannot change in this relationship. Let's have a look at the different groups that we have. This is going to be group number 1. This is group number 2. And this is going to be group number 3. If you already know what pick a cards are all about, then I'm sure you already know to skip to this timestamp. But if you are not familiar, you don't know how pick a cards work, basically there are 3 different readings, and you might choose one, you might choose 2, you might actually choose all of them. But basically just follow your intuition, follow what feels, which of these groups are pulling you, is drawing you in, you feel magnetized towards it, or take your time. Sometimes some people need to take their time to ground themselves, pause the video, put on some meditation music, and then when you are level-headed, when you are calm, you can choose the group. Or maybe you're like me, where I already know, usually when I look at the thumbnail, if there are pictures of the cards, I already know, like, oh, that's the one for me. If you have a sacral authority in human design, that's usually what happens. Or at least that's what happens to me. I can't say that for everyone. Yeah, that's honestly about it. Don't be afraid. I believe that you will probably not choose wrong, but if it doesn't resonate, then also don't fret, because this is a general reading. I am tapping into many different people, so don't fret if you don't actually resonate with the reading that you chose. Just go back to this section of the video and choose another group, or maybe look at the timestamps, look at the description. Maybe your lucky number is there. There's so many different ways of choosing. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with the reading. Alright, if you chose group number 1, then this is going to be the reading for you. As a reminder, or maybe if you didn't actually listen to the explanation, there's going to be 2 parts to this video. We are going to look at basically your situation, you and your parents, and your relationship, Usually by this point, my intention is for you to basically know that this reading is for you or not. If this doesn't really resonate with you, then maybe choose another pile. And then the second part is going to be the guidance for you. But let's first take a look at you, group number 1. This card represents you, and we have the 5 of Cups. Oh, group number 1. This is going to be your relationship. It's 7 of Swords. I honestly don't know if this is going to focus, so I apologize if it doesn't. This is 7 of Swords. This represents your relationship. And then this is your parents. 3 of Swords. Oh my god. How sad already. And this card is going to be kind of just a little bit more clarity for me. The overall vibe. Criticism. Okay. So, group number 1. There's so much hurt, man. In all 3 cards, in all cards. So with criticism, it's pretty obvious that, your parents, they're very critical towards you. And with the 5 of Cups here, this is all about just sadness. And both of these, both you and your parents, this is both representing sadness. In your case, because it is the Cups card, whereas your parents are represented by the element of Swords, on your side, this is more of an emotional matter here. Whereas on your parents' side, both of these to me are like, this is the card of deep heartbreak. But for me, the Swords card, because it represents the element of air, and the element of air is all about the intellect, it's all about stories. So I think they have a lot of stories that cause a lot of heartbreak on your parents' side. Okay? With the 3 of Swords, and then with the 5 of Cups, this is... I don't like it when people say that this is about like crying for spilt milk or whatever. And I think your inner child, maybe people used to say that to you a lot, or when you were younger, you used to, like, people used to say to you a lot that like, oh, you're crying over spilt milk, don't cry over what you have lost, look at all the things that you have in your life. And like, people are just kind of giving toxic positivity, when I just want to tell you, when the 5 of Cups comes up, I always like to think that this is the permission to feel card. So right off the bat, I know that we are not necessarily in the guidance section yet of the reading, but like, the 5 of Cups to me is, giving yourself permission to feel. If no one has ever said that to you before, or you struggle to give that to yourself, I mean, I'm just a tarot card reader here on the internet. I mean, obviously I exist in the real world, but like, I don't personally know you. I just know you from, these cards, which, these are the things that you consciously or unconsciously, like from the spirit realm, like these are the cards that you have consented to give to me, right? You have consented for me to connect to your energy. So like, just based on this, obviously I don't know you. But again, my point is, if you have never heard that before, if anyone's never ever said that to you before, this is your permission to feel. Anything that you feel is valid. And I think it's really important for you to give space for that, for the heartbreak. In terms of the relationship with the Seven of Swords, the Seven of Swords can be read in a myriad of ways, but it is kind of like about backstabbing. It's about criticism as well. I know that we literally have the card of criticism here, but it also sometimes represents like imposter syndrome. Maybe that's how your parents actually feel. Like they have this sense of imposter syndrome where they don't believe that they are worthy to be parents. And again, Seven of Swords is also all about stories. These narratives. There's a lot of narratives here when it comes to your relationship, you and your parents. You know what I also want to know is how you actually feel towards your parents, because to me this is kind of the overarching relationship. But I want to know your perspective. How do you feel towards your parents? I mean, deep down, right, the Five of Cups tells me that there is loss here, that there's grief. Maybe you feel like your parents have changed, and that causes... I'm like shuffling underneath the table here, just so it's not picking up by the mic as I talk. And that's causing the heartbreak, the grief, the loss. So yeah, maybe I don't necessarily need to pull another card to see how you actually feel. But if you want to understand a little bit more about your parents' side, yeah, they have deep heartbreak, and they are grappling with one of the most, or even three of the most difficult emotions for anyone to feel. Because the Three of Swords is also giving, like, maybe your parents are very... One of the only emotions that your parents seem to have is anger. But then the Three of Swords is all about, like, sometimes some emotions are a lot more easy for people to feel or display, when actually what's underneath that is sadness and shame. And those things are actually a lot more challenging for a lot of us to feel. And so, yeah, that's actually what's underneath. If you resonate with that, like if your parents are just very angry all the time, know that actually what's underneath is deep sadness, is shame. And because maybe they don't know how to cope with their emotions, right? They don't know how to regulate themselves. They have an unhealthy relationship with emotions. They have a negative relationship with emotions. Maybe that's what they learned. And so it's easier for people to feel anger, what they display instead. Group number 1. We're gonna move on to the second part, which is the guidance. I'm just looking at the spread. So we're gonna pull 3 cards for your guidance. And by the way, if you have reached this part of the video, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button. It's just a tiny way to reciprocate the energy. It really helps this channel to grow. Just a small way to say thank you for me, you know, for providing this free reading. It's gonna support me to continue making these free readings. And for that, I thank you in advance, group number 1. All right. So let's look at the general advice. And then we're also going to look at what you can change and what you cannot change. Okay. So hard to shuffle with this ring on. But anyway. Oh. I don't know why I responded that way. But the card that we have here for you, group number 1, is New Beginnings. New Beginnings. Okay. How interesting. How interesting, group number 1. And then I'm going to use the little Wild Unknown Pocket Tarot to have a look at what you can change and what you cannot change in regards to your relationship with your parents. Tapping into group number 1, what can they change? What they cannot change. Whoa. Wow. How freaking interesting, group number 1. The second part of your reading, these are all giving new beginnings. Literally. Literally with the New Beginnings card. But we also have... Wait. The spread is what you can change and what you cannot change. So that's interesting. Ace of Swords. Ace of Wands. This is what you can change. This is what you cannot change. Okay? We'll get into that later. But I think there is definitely a chance for you to begin again with your parents. Maybe there's just a lot of misunderstanding. There's just a lot of, emotions. There's a lot of emotions that maybe haven't been felt yet. And the thing is, I feel like with the Ace of Swords here, because the swords deals with the element of air, like I said, and it's about the intellect, I feel like what you can change is how you think. And this is about logic, right? But the thing is, sometimes if we want to be, this is my belief, this is what I've learned in my own journey, in my own self-study and things like that. I believe that in order for us to reprogram our minds, sometimes I know that, especially for myself, I like to do that way too early, when the first thing that we need to tackle is our emotions. The first thing that we need to do is actually to feel those emotions, to allow them to even exist before we even think about reprogramming our minds, before we think about reprogramming the story, right? Because I was talking a lot about stories and narratives about this relationship that you can change. And I think once you work on that, you can work on creating, like, kind of starting again, you know, with your parents. New beginnings is here. What you cannot change is the energy, right? I think what this is telling me is that you can't change, you know, the essence of who you are and who your parents are, right? That cannot change. And that's why I'm pretty hopeful for you if that is what you want to do, because I know that, like, for example, with some of my friends, I'm someone who, oh my God, ever since I was born, essentially, I have always had a very difficult relationship with my parents. And then and I struggle to find someone who has that kind of relationship with their parents. Like, with my friends, I know that they have complicated relationships as well, but, like, just not as much as me, or, you know, I mean, we all have different situations. But, like, I know that some of my friends, you know, they have gone on these, like, huge fights and things like that. I ran away from home during the pandemic, and one of my friends also ran away from home. But, like, and they were so angry with their parents. But the thing is, like, I know that deep down they actually really love them. And that is kind of what I'm feeling in your situation, group number 1. And I am hopeful that if you want to change that, if you want to change the dynamic of your you know, your relationship with your parents, that is absolutely possible. That is within the horizon, right? But the thing is, because what you can change is the story, but before you even do that, you have to acknowledge all this pain. You have to acknowledge all the hurt before you even try to put on your adult hat. I know that, I mean, you are probably an adult if you're watching this video. And, you know, before you put on your adult hat, your logical, rational hat on, and, like, try to understand your parents. So maybe your parents, like, all these things, right? Before you understand, like, I know that it's because they, you know, whatever I just said at the beginning. Oh, I know that it's difficult for them to feel these emotions. Maybe they didn't have the resources. Before you even do that, right? Acknowledge the hurt. Maybe ever since you were a kid. Maybe your inner kid is still feeling that hurt. And, like, let your inner kid grieve. Let yourself grieve for all the things that you didn't get. For all the times that you were wounded. For all the wounds that you still have. For all the scars that your parents, whether they intend to or not, have left on you. That needs to be felt. Okay, group number 1. If you are still here, it's probably a safe bet to say that you resonated with this reading, right? So why not subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I have a lot of other content about being the child of a toxic parent and soothing all these wounds as an adult, and being on a healing journey. I don't just post picker cards, so subscribe. If you are feeling just a little bit more generous, then why not consider buying me a coffee? The link is down below, or you can just grab your phone and scan the QR code here, and you can just give me a little coffee. That will be really helpful to reciprocate, right? And to help me fuel more free readings like this. And I know that at the beginning I said that I have one-on-one coaching to help people break up with your parents. If that's what you want to do, then I can absolutely help you with that through one-on-one coaching. If you want to work more on your emotions, maybe you struggle connecting with your emotions, you don't even know what to do with your emotions. Maybe this is just like a completely strange ground for you. Then my one-on-one coaching is also very supportive for people who struggle with their emotions. And with that, thank you so much, group number 1. I am so grateful for you for being here and for considering all those things that I have just encouraged you to do. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more from me and content about being the child of a toxic parent and soothing the wounds from your childhood. Thank you again. How many times can I say thank you? Bye. Hi there. If you chose group number 2, then this is going to be the reading for you. If you didn't really listen to when I explained about this reading, this is going to be part number 1 of this reading, my intention is for you to, if you resonate with this part, then you know that this is definitely the reading for you. If you don't resonate with this, then maybe choose another group. But in this part of the reading, I want to look at you, your parents, and then your relationship. So yeah, let's take a look. For you, the card representing you is the Hermit. The card representing your relationship is Justice. The card representing your parents is the King of Wands. Okay. I'm gonna put this a little bit closer to the cam. That's too close. And then this is just kind of the overall vibe, I guess. Acceptance. Okay. So, with the Hermit, you might be someone that just likes to be by yourself, right? You like to be in your own company. You enjoy being in your own company, or maybe you're actually fearful to be in other people's company in fear of being hurt. But I didn't say anything. The Hermit is represented by the sign of Virgo. You might be a Virgo, you might not. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. If you have Virgo in your sun, moon, and rising, then that might just be a little bit of a confirmation that you are in the right group. And there is definitely going to be a message for you here. If not, no worries. And with the King of Wands representing your parents might be... This could go kind of 2 different ways, where your parents might be like a little bit more chill. They might be more, maybe in your friend group or something, they are known as kind of like the cool parents. or they might be quite authoritarian. Not like in a very, very strict way, because this is the King of Wands, and usually the Wands are more of a fun kind of energy. So it could be that, or they could be very hot-headed. They could be very hot-headed, especially when it comes to, you know, like sometimes they are both, right? Maybe they are both. Maybe they could be like fun parents, but then sometimes they put on that hat of like, I'm being a fucking parent now. Maybe they're not cursing. They probably are not. Maybe they are. I don't know. But when they put on that hat of like, I am being the parent now, they're like really not strict. Strict is not the right word. They tend to be quite hot-headed. There is a lot of fire there. And I think the journey here, the story here between you and your parents is about acceptance. And if you look at this, the image here is someone in a kind of broken house. I know I'm pretty far away from the camera today. So I'm sorry if the image is not really very clear, but like there's someone with roots. There's someone who is rooted here in a house that is broken. So like maybe your parents have actually split up, or maybe, you know, you just grew up in a really rough household, in a household that is just deeply broken. And the journey here for you is to accept that. To accept that that is the kind of childhood that you had. That is how your parents are. This is the kind of home that they have built. That is the kind of home that you grew up in. And you are trying to accept that. That is the journey for you. And with justice being the card representing your relationship, this is the energy of your relationship here. Justice to me is actually the karma card, right? So I think again, connecting these two cards, the journey for you here is like trying to understand your parents, trying to understand why it is, why you are this way. You know, maybe that's kind of the journey that you're on. You're on a journey of self-inquiry, of self-discovery. Maybe you're trying to understand who you are, and the way that you can understand who you are is by understanding your childhood, the way you are brought up, right? And understanding all the karmas that you are holding. And by karma, I mean karma is like action. I don't see karma in the same way as I feel like a lot of people see karma. I don't see it as like this, like karma, you know? Like if you do good things, then good things will come back to you, or if you do bad things, then bad things will happen to you. I don't really see it that way. Karma is just, it can be anything. It can be, I'm not judging. There's no judgment in the way that I see the concept of karma. It's just simply action and reaction. You know, when you do something, this is just kind of like the law of science, right? Or physics. I was really bad at physics, so I wouldn't know. But it's just like when you throw a ball, right? That's you. Oh my god. My alarm. When you throw a ball, there's going to be a consequence to that action, right? To the action of throwing a ball. And that is just what I mean by justice. So in the context of this being your relationship, maybe there's a lot of... Yeah, I'm looking at the image here. Maybe there's a lot of you having to apologize for things that you don't really think is your fault, or you having to apologize for things that you didn't necessarily do. And in that sense, your parents are authoritative. That's the kind of the authoritative energy that your parents have. They kind of feel like they are bigger than a lot of people. And by a lot of people, I mean you. You know, if you look at this, there are people who are kind of like asking for forgiveness for this figure who is like a lot bigger than everyone else. So maybe that's the kind of energy, that's the kind of relationship that you have. You know, I'm seeing that this big figure is your parents, and this is like maybe you, and if you have siblings, then that's your siblings, you and your siblings. And so that's the kind of relationship that you have. I was going on and on about karma. What was that all about? Yeah, I think I was just talking about like that being the journey that you are on, right? It's just you are going to get a lot of information about yourself, a lot of understanding about yourself by understanding the karmas that you hold. You know, like for example, if you struggle to maybe like love yourself, for example, then maybe it's because of the things that your parents have taught you, right, when you were a kid. Or maybe the things that they didn't do, right? Because sometimes that's a message in and of itself. The things that people don't do. And so it's understanding those things that's going to really help you in your journey of acceptance. Let's move on to the second part of the reading. Second part of the reading is the guidance. We're going to pull one card from this deck, and then 2 tarot cards representing... Okay, we already have the card there. Representing what you can change and what you cannot change. And if you haven't pressed the like button yet, then please go ahead and do so. You are on the second part of the reading. So you must be resonating with this, right? Right? So if you give it a like, it's going to really help. Thank you. this is going to be what group number 2 can change, and what they cannot change. What you can change is the 8 of Cups. Okay. What can't they change? Son of Swords. And then Solitude. This is the guidance as well. Okay, well, like I said, I think you are on this chapter of your journey where a lot of solitude is going to help, a lot of stillness, right? Because you are also represented by the Hermit. So I feel like you are already on that journey anyway. Especially because I think in the first part I was saying like you might be a quiet person, you like to be by yourself and things like that. If you don't actually resonate with that, then maybe you are already on this journey of solitude, of discovering yourself, self-discovery. And you are doing the right thing if that is the case. If not, then you are being encouraged to do that. Maybe if you are still living with your parents with solitude, it might be a good idea for you to separate with them, to live by yourself, or live separately from your parents. Or if you are already living separately from your parents, then just in general, being by yourself is the guidance here. Really connecting to your essence, to your soul, to who you really are, right? So, with what you can change, we have the 8 of Cups. This is a tiny little card, so I'm not sure if you can really see that very clearly. But the 8 of Cups is all about moving on. It's about knowing that you deserve more than what you have currently. And it's the courage of leaving what you already have, all the cups that you have gathered all this time, right? You have 8 cups now, and you are being courageous in leaving those 8 cups, taking that risk, and maybe you will actually have 10 cups instead. You know, but you have to have the courage to leave those 8 cups behind. So in regards to this reading, obviously, yeah, it might be time to move on. Because the 8 of Cups is also about kind of like traveling, so maybe traveling could be a good way to, you know, solo travel, right? With solitude here. That could be really enlightening for you. Or I feel like you don't always have to travel like physically, like literally. It could also be kind of like traveling with your mind, because it takes a lot of resources for someone to be traveling, especially in this fucking economy, right? But yeah, it's leaving. The 8 of Cups is about, it could also be like because I'm now reminded of the image from the Light Seers tarot deck. I know this is not it, but in that deck, it's the image is someone doing kind of like a burning bowl ritual. So maybe in the next full moon, which if you are watching this kind of as this is being uploaded, the next full moon is going to be an eclipse. So that's going to be very intense, but this could also point to that. Doing a burning bowl ritual, thinking about all the things that you want to release. What is it that you want to release when it comes to, you know, your life path, all the wounds, all the hurt that you have been carrying around, all these 8 cups that you've been lugging around at your back. What are those things that you want to release? Right? That's something that you can change. What you cannot change is represented by the Son of Swords. The Son of Swords is also known as the Knight of Swords. The Knight is on a mission. I think what you cannot change is your mission, like what your soul, and we're talking about your soul's mission here. You know, don't change that goal. Whatever that is for you, that's going to be very personal, right? Very individual. So whatever that is, you are not being encouraged to change that. Don't compromise when it comes to your values and your mission. Don't compromise on that for anything. So, group number 2, if you have reached this part of the video, please consider subscribing if you want to see more content, whether that be pick-a cards or just general videos about being the child of a toxic parent and healing from all the wounds from being that kind of household and being raised with a lot of different wounds. Subscribe if you want to see more of that. And if you're feeling a little bit more generous, then why not consider buying me a coffee? You can scan the QR code here or go to the link down below. I would really appreciate it if you can help me just a little bit by fueling these free readings. You know, it's a good way to just reciprocate this energy. If you are looking for support to heal this relationship with yourself, to understand yourself a little bit better, yes, your guidance here is for solitude, but if you're ready to be supported, I can support you with that with my one-on-one coaching. If you are interested, then the link is also down below. You can also email me at tikaishuman@gmail.com to know more about my offering. I can absolutely help you with discovering a little bit more about yourself. And the thing about coaching is that, especially with the way I coach my clients, I basically guide you. I hold your hand as you discover the answers by yourself. I just kind of nudge you to go back to yourself and find those answers within. Sometimes you just need a little bit of help with that, right? And I feel like that is a little bit of my specialty. So if you're interested, then email me. We can have a little call as well if you want to learn more about this offering. And yeah, thank you so much, group number 2. I hope that was helpful. And I hope we will see each other again very, very soon. Bye! Hi there, group number 3. This is going to be your reading. I actually have a little cup of beverage here with me if you would like to join me. I am having a lemon, ginger, and manuka honey tea. It is a little bit too hot for me right now, So I'm going to be keeping this here. I hope you don't mind. Okay, so group number 3. If you didn't stay around for the explanation about what this reading is about, there's going to be 2 parts to this reading. The first part is going to be me looking at you, your parents, and your relationship with your parents. And my intention is that if you resonate with that first part, then you definitely know that this is the right reading for you. If not, then maybe consider looking at another group. But let's just get on with it. Let's see what cards we have in store for you. So, the card representing you is Temperance. Okay, I hope it is focusing. I'm sorry, I'm really far away from the camera today. So, it's a little bit far. Hope that is okay. And then the card representing... This is the relationship, but let's look at your parents first. Okay, your parents is represented by the Page of Wands. Alright. And then these 2 are going to represent your relationship. We have the Fool. Okay. And then we have Love. Oh my god. Okay, group number 3. There is a lot of red here that I am seeing color palette wise with your reading. And red can represent passion, right? It can represent love as well, as we can see here. Okay, so what is the sitch then, group number 3? So with Temperance is the card of balance, right? The card of harmony, the card of balance. Zodiac sign wise, this is the card of Sagittarius, as you can also see here, even though I honestly don't really see the connection between Temperance energy and Sagittarius energy. But anyway, if you have a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising, this might be... You don't have to. Doesn't mean that if you don't have that this is not your reading. It's just further confirmation, if you do have it, that you are in the right group. So Temperance is all about being able to hold 2 different opposing truths all at once, right? And Temperance is kind of like moderation, having everything but in moderation. That's why it's all about balance, right? Whereas the Page of Wands representing your parents here, the Page of Wands is someone who is still beginning in a journey, embarking on a journey. So with the Fool representing your relationship with your parents, the Fool is about new beginnings. The Fool is kind of like the main character, but as an energy, it's kind of like you might be very spontaneous when it comes to your relationship with your parents. But the thing is, this is a reading about guidance for children of toxic parents. So, with a Page of Wands as a kind of toxic energy, I think what you need to know here with love, it's pretty straightforward. There is love here in the relationship. I'm kind of like imagining love is the bed of your relationship, which, you know, that's nice, right? That is nice. But the Fool, because these are kind of young energies, I'm getting the sense that maybe your parents had you when they were really young, or they don't necessarily have to be. When they had you, they might not have been ready to have a child. So they kind of like didn't really know what they were doing. And so they might be kind of like reckless when they were raising you, or even that could also even be reflected until now. Like that kind of reckless energy, that kind of it's just kind of giving. I'm just reminded of Maeve Wiley from Sex Education. I'm getting the sense that you have this kind of bittersweet relationship with your parents, where like your parents didn't really know what they were doing. They can be really, like, you might have had to grow up pretty quickly, and sometimes you might be the parent more than your parent is the parent. If that makes sense. Like, you're the parent even though you're the child, and your parent is kind of like the child even though they're the parent, is kind of like what I'm getting from this. Let's see what the guidance is for you, group number 3. So that I can have a little bit of context here, because like, what is the message for group number 3? Please give the video a like as well, by the way, if you haven't done that already. It's going to be really helpful for this channel and for me so that this video will be pushed to many different people, and it'll help me grow the channel. Oh my god, 3 different cards. Wow. I did not mean to do that. All the other groups actually got 1 card. But we're just going with it because I pulled them, you know? Because usually if I'm meant to pull 1 card and then like 3 came out, then I would like put it back in the deck. But I didn't do that, so I'm just gonna take that as a sign that you need to hear all these things. We have family as the first card. Okay. Interesting. This is a reading about family. We have life force, Aphrodite, and then the final card, we have loss. Okay. So yeah, this is just kind of further emphasizing this kind of bittersweetness of your relationship between you and your parents. Or parent. I'm gonna see what the guidebook says about this, because have I ever pulled this card? Family is number 10. Your trials have only strengthened your capacity to love, leaving you with an even deeper appreciation of those you love. So this card is about security, peace, family harmony. So I think this card is just kind of like telling you that your spirit guides are blessing your family, that your family is being protected, that they are really looking out for y'all, really looking out for your well-being. There's no need to fret over your parents' health, your children's safety, or your siblings' happiness. All is well. Yeah, I think it's not really like any advice, it's just kind of your spirit guides coming through and telling you that they have your back, that you and your family, if you are worried about them, then they will be okay, you are protected, okay? And then we have life force and also loss. I'm also going to look at life force because I'm honestly not very familiar with this deck, even though it's one of the oldest decks that I have, but I don't really use it very often. So honestly, I am not very familiar with this deck. That's okay, that's why I wanted to pull it out today. Oh. I mean, this is confusing for a reading about being a child of a toxic parent, but it's about seduction, libido, sexuality, attraction. Your sexuality is awake and on fire. You're attractive, seductive, and powerful. This is what makes the world go around. Nothing is more intriguing and exciting than your life force asserting itself. The key to enjoying this fiery essence is containment. You must control and direct your life force energy rather than allow it to control and overwhelm you. So I think this is just kind of like a reminder. It doesn't have to be like a sexual energy, right? Because context here, people. The context here is about you and your family. So in that case, I think this card wants to remind you to, when it comes to your emotions, you might be someone that reacts really easily, and so especially with Temperance here, because that's representing you, and then they're like kind of in line as well. I think it's just reminding you to respond instead of reacting, right? Because it says here, you must control and direct your life force energy rather than allow it to control and overwhelm you. Otherwise, you can become mindlessly addicted to your senses, which can be debilitating and enslaving. So, I think maybe you like to kind of what's the word? You like to lash out to your parents sometimes, even though you don't really mean to. It's just kind of like you reacting to this energy, and this energy that just really wants to be expressed. And because you're not being mindful, it then manifests into you lashing out. That's just the reaction of having all this life force within you. So maybe, the guidance is for you to channel this energy more healthily, and the way that you can do that is by embracing your sexuality. So that you can channel this energy in a healthy way. And then with loss, let's see again. Loss, sorrow, depression, grief, regret. You may be entering or experiencing a period of loss, regret, I show you the card, disappointment, pain, and perhaps even grief. These feelings may have arisen from present painful circumstances, or they may be the result of a surfacing of unexpressed or unprocessed loss from the past. Whether caused by something in the past or present, your heart is ready to unburden your pain, and your soul is ready to grow from these experiences. So I'm getting the sense that like you have, literally, it does say that quite literally, like unexpressed or unprocessed loss. I think in regards to like your childhood, and more specifically about, how you were parented, or maybe how absent your parents were. And that's kind of like what made them toxic for you is their absence and their recklessness. And like you may have felt kind of like abandoned when you were a kid. Again, even maybe up until now. And so there's loss in that, right? There's grief in that, in kind of like the absence of your parents. Maybe they're just really struggling, you know? I mean, everyone's struggling to be completely honest, right? Your healer guides are present to assist you in your healing through these difficult times. These soothing helpers assure you that your present pain will transform into learning, and this too shall pass. Your joy will return. Ask your healer guides to help lift your heart and turn your loss and pain over to their loving care. Trust their counsel as they urge you to call a grief counselor, seek a healing massage, or pick up a book that will assist you in your current situation. Their message? Seek sources of help. Well, group number 3, because it's literally written here, I just want to let you know that that is something that I offer in a private tarot reading. If you wanted to hear words of comfort, that is my specialty. I love to give compassionate, soft kind of messages for your inner child. If you are in this, if you're grieving, right? If you're feeling really sad, if you're feeling really down in the dumps and you just need some comfort, you need like a blanket, then I offer those tarot readings privately. You can book down below. Just want to let you know that, just because that is part of your guidance. And I also recommend you check out my Substack, because I wrote it to those of you who have these inner snotty 7-year-olds who just need a comforting soup. So just want to let you know that those are offerings that I have for you, and the guidance is really for you to, I mean, these are honestly pretty consistent within all of the groups, that everyone is just being encouraged to feel their feelings. There's a lot of unprocessed emotions, and that needs to be tended to. You can't just ignore it. It's not going to go away, because the body keeps the score. It's just gonna stay. It's just gonna stay in the body. It might manifest into physical ailments and things like that. So it's so important for you to tend to your emotions. And if you struggle with that and you need support, then I offer one-on-one coaching that will help you be more in tune with your emotions, to process your emotions more healthily. I can teach you how to do that in the one-on-one coaching. If you are interested, links are down below, or you can email me at tikaishuman@gmail.com. In the link, if you are interested, you can book a 20-minute call with me so that I can explain to you what this is all about, if I can help you. And with that, group number 3, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe if you want to see more readings about being a child of a toxic parent. Even though from this reading, I'm getting the sense that like you have a bittersweet kind of relationship with your parents, and I make a lot of content to help us understand ourselves, but also our parents and why are they like that. And if you're feeling a little bit more generous, then why not buy me a coffee to reciprocate the energy so that you can help fuel these free readings. You can scan the QR code right here or go to the link in the description. It's only £3, or maybe you want to buy me 3 cups of coffee. Oh my god, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I will see you again soon. Bye.